guys, it's Cayley. I'm back with another what sold from last week video. I did not do one last week, and so today's video is going to be like 2 weeks worth of sales. I'll still go over what sold from each week, but then I'll just kind of combine each of those items that I pulled from those weeks. If you're new to this channel, my name is Cayley. I'm an online reseller. I sell on sites like eBay and Poshmark to make a profit. I get most of my items from thrift stores, and I'll show you what items that I like to buy today. Okay, so all of the sales that you see on the screen, like I said, are for 2 weeks. I'm going to go over this pretty quickly and then combine the two. And I hope you guys are buckled in because as you can see, we've got a long ride ahead of us. So all of these sales on the top of the screen happen between August 28th through September 3rd, and then down below September 4th through the 10th. So a total of 2 weeks. The first week, which again was a couple of weeks ago, I sold a total of 127 items that week for a gross sales total of $3,771.54, making my average sale price $29.70. Estimated cost of goods for everything that sold that week was $508, making an estimated net of $2,091.34. On eBay that week, I sold 72 items for a little over $2,300, and then on Poshmark that week, I sold 55 for a little over $1,400. As I've mentioned in previous weeks, I have been trying my absolute best to really focus on Poshmark sales, closet clear out, love it or list it, like actually trying on those platforms. And so far it has been really successful. So I've been really happy with that. And as you can see, it is showing in my sales. Let's see here. Moving on to next week, the following week, which was just last week, I sold 126 items that week for a gross sales total of $3,875.48. As you can see, about the same as the week before, making an average sale price of $30.76 and an estimated cost of goods of $504. Estimated net was $2,347.18, and the estimated net is just your gross sales less the cost of goods, fees, and shipping costs. As you can see, both of these weeks are pretty much neck and neck. I sold about the same amount of items, about the same gross amount of sales, about the same average sale price, and about the same estimated cost of goods. And I mean, I expect to have pretty consistent similar sales. Some weeks go much more than that, but in general, I don't think I should ever have a week where my sales are cut in half if I'm consistently listing the same items. So even though I'm back in the 3,000s and have dropped below 4,000, I'm happy to see that it's still pretty consistent. This week I sold 81 items on eBay and 45 on Poshmark, so Poshmark dipped a little bit. Gross sales on eBay were $2,600 and on Poshmark they were a little over $1,200. So happy with both of those weeks, and like I said, I'm just really happy to see the consistency. A total for the 2 weeks I have right here in green. Gross for 2 weeks was $7,647.02, making my net $4,438.52. But enough about the total overall numbers. Let's jump into some of these individual items and talk about why they sold for how much they did. So I got this belt at the bins. Belts are one of my favorite items to pick up. I don't know about you guys' bins, but at my bins, they throw the belts in with the handbags. Same thing with like ties, sometimes scarves. Pretty much certain accessories get thrown in this bin that we call the handbags bin. But I love looking for more than just handbags in that bin. If you guys have watched my recent like thrift with me videos, I love looking for small items. They're so easy to list and ship. Belts are one of my absolute favorites. This is a new brand to me. It's called Bin Silver. And if you're not familiar with this belt brand, I would definitely become familiar with it. I just recently made an Instagram reel about it. The reason I picked this one up was because I noticed it was genuine crocodile leather, and typically that's going to bring good value. Having like an exotic kind of material usually adds value to an item. I then looked up this brand with that material and saw that Bin Silver belts actually have a decent sell-through rate. Some actually go for over $100. I picked this one up for probably a couple bucks. It took literally like a week to sell. And I think I listed this originally at like maybe like $95, and I recently just accepted an offer of $75. I thought that was more than fair considering what I paid for it. Did have a little bit of wear, but overall a very, very solid piece. And next up is an item that I found actually around my local area. I've talked to you guys before about how I don't really have good luck in my area. This was one that I was really surprised to find. It was definitely a rarity. So I got this coat for $6.99. It was on a new rack at a smaller thrift store. It is by the brand REI, and if you guys didn't know, REI transitioned to REI Co-op. So whenever you see REI Co-op, it's usually going to be a more modern piece. If you just see REI, it's probably an older piece. This was a men's quilted down puffer jacket, so it's packed with feathers and it's packable. And it was a size extra, extra large tall. For all of those reasons, I thought this would be a solid seller. I did my comp at the thrift store. I saw very good comps, despite it when I did pick it up, it was in warmer weather. I actually got this about 3 months ago. And even back then, it had a really good sell-through rate. So I picked this up. I listed it for $69.95. It sold on an offer for $62.95. I thought that was a really fair offer. So keep your eye out for down jackets. This was probably one of my favorite sales this past couple of weeks. And I always love when I can sell something that is just style-based, because it just reaffirms that I know what I'm talking about, I guess, and that I have the knowledge. And I don't know, you guys ever just pick something up on a gut feeling and then when it sells, you just feel so good about it? This was one of those pieces for me. So I picked these up at the bins. I pick up a lot of Y2K looking shoes at the bins because everybody passes on them, because generally they tend to look pretty old and dingy. As you can see, these ones definitely have some like staining on the sole, and there was a little bit of flaking of the leather coming off. You'll see that we noted that here, and it's also down below in the description. Even still, I decided to price these pretty high because they had that chunky platform heel, and I just know that this is a style that people are looking for. So with it being at the bins, I'm gonna guess they were a little heavy, so I probably paid about $4 for them. I listed them for $49.98, and they sold within the same month of listing them, which was absolutely insane for a pair of shoes that had this much wear. So definitely keep your eye out for Y2K shoes. You want to look for that chunky block heel. Faded Glory used to be a brand that I would just absolutely stay away from, but them, like Massimo, a couple different brands that used to be lower end, have really made a comeback with that Y2K trend. Next up is a pair of pants in a brand I would pretty much recommend you pick up in just about anything, especially in the men's department. This is Cool, Kuhl. Sometimes you'll just see this little logo on the pant. It's a mountain. You can kind of see it here where we took the measurements. You can see the logo on the back. So that's usually a pretty good indicator of a cool item. They make outdoorsy stuff. These were a pair of convertible cargo pants. I learned that the style name was called Renegade. I paid up for these because I saw it had such a good sell-through rate. We paid $6.50. I listed for $49.98. It sold for full asking price within a couple of weeks. This next item is a brand that has been just flying off the shelf for me. I don't know what happened these last couple weeks, but this brand, and even this week, like I've sold out of. I mean, it's doing really good. They are Spanx leggings, and it doesn't seem to matter if they're like the faux leather, if they're just, you know, regular cotton ones. They are just flying. Something about fall, I guess. People are picking up these leggings. So Spanx is absolutely a great brand to pick up in almost everything that they make. Even their different lines that they have, like Red Hot or Acids, I still pick those up as well. They don't sell for as much, but still really good sellers. So these are just a pair of navy blue pull-on leggings slash pants. We use the word slimming with these. It does help, I think, because that's what Spanx is known for, is being kind of a shapewear. So if you put the word slimming in for the pants, I think it really helps to sell the item, and it's what people are looking for. We paid $4.89 for these, and we listed for $49.98. They sold for our full asking price within a couple of weeks. Like I said, if you've got any Spanx and they're not selling right now, you might want to rework that listing, because I have just completely sold out. I don't know what's going on. Next up is this plus size piece. I've talked a lot lately about plus sizes. We've really been heavily researching into plus sizes more, and brands that we're passing on before we're doing comps on, and we've been pleasantly surprised at some of the brands that we can pick up now in plus sizes that have a really good sell-through rate. This brand is Catherine's. I won't say that everything sells for kind of my margin and what I'm looking for, but some of their pieces do. Particularly the swimsuits. This is just a swim top. It doesn't even have the bottoms, but they have an outstanding sell-through rate and they go for crazy amounts of money. We paid $4.69 for this. It sold on an offer to watcher for $44.96, and it took a couple of months to sell. Surprisingly, it sold as we're getting into cooler weather. I don't know what happened there. Next up is a pair of Everlane jeans. I talk about this a lot. I still love picking up Everlane jeans. These are the curvy, cheeky jean in a size 27 crop. One thing about Everlane, and then kind of the same as Madewell, is that most of their styles do not have a high sell-through rate, but for me at least, they eventually do sell, and they usually sell for $35 to $40. So I still pick up Madewell and Everlane. I think they are high quality denim and they do still have a following. I do think that they are becoming a little bit oversaturated as far as the resale market goes, but for me, I'm willing to sit on them for a few months. Let's see, I listed these ones in May, so it took, I would say, 3 to 4 months to sell. But I listed them for $49.95. I picked them up at the bin, so they only cost a couple bucks, and they sold for my full asking price. So I can't beat a couple bucks in $250, even if I have to sit on it for a couple of months. Next up is another bins pickup. This is just something I picked up based on style. If you look up this brand, you're not going to find anything. It is hand knit by Ann Dupler. I don't know who she was, but she seemed like a nice lady. She makes really high quality sweaters. So I looked at this because it was a very, very chunky knit, what I think is wool sweater, but it's definitely like vintage hand knit. It had some really pretty speckled details in the gray. And then again, this chunky cable knit is like awesome. So if you have anything like that, you want to include the words chunky cable knit. And I pick up a lot of these sweaters based on style, not even just on the brand alone if they are that thicker knit. I got this one at the bin, so based on how heavy it probably was, I'm going to guess probably about $4, and I listed it for $49.98. It sold on an offer to watcher for $44.98, which was 10% off, and it sold within the same month of listing. Next up is another pair of jeans. These are a pair of women's jeans by the brand Mother. This used to be, you can barely see it here, but this used to be like the brand to pick up. I was really surprised lately. We came across a few pairs of Mother jeans. I hadn't found them in like years. Came across them, realized that on eBay at least the sell-through rate was not that good, but we decided to pick them up anyways. We paid $6.99 for them. We went against the comps, listed them for $39.98. They sold within a couple of weeks for our full asking price, so can't beat that. And even though comps don't look great for some of these Mother jeans, I'm going to continue picking them up because they do well for me. I'm kind of throwing them in that category with Everlane and Madewell jeans. Next up is another great tried and true footwear brand. It is Birkenstocks, and kind of like those faded glory shoes, for me, Birkenstocks, even if they have a little bit of staining on the footbeds, that's to be expected. As long as the construction of it itself is still put together, I pick it up. It sells for crazy money, even with the footbed stain. So I paid $3.50 for these. We listed them, I don't know, I want to say like maybe $50. Regardless, they sold on a best offer of $40, which was a really great return on investment. This is another bins pickup, and when I'm in the handbags section, I almost always come across this brand. I don't know why, but people leave Fossil behind. Fossil is one of my tried and true brands. I love anything that is all leather by Fossil. Some of their other stuff doesn't do it as good for me, but all leather Fossil stuff performs really well. I thought this was a really interesting bag. You can kind of see it has almost a distressed leather look, and it had just a really interesting fastening and closure with this like leather strap coming down. I thought it was super trendy, and just in general, even not Fossil, I'm picking up high quality leather at the bins regardless of brand. So I paid probably, I would say, like a couple bucks for this. It was pretty lightweight. We listed for $44.98. It sold within a couple of weeks on an offer to watcher for $40.48. Next up is another one I went against the comps on. This is Stuart Weitzman. If you guys don't know about this brand, Stuart Weitzman is a designer that retails for quite a bit but does not always have the best sell-through rates. I find myself usually sending Stuart Weitzman into ThreadUp or the RealReal if they'll accept it. But I decided to sell these ones myself. Some of their styles can do good. I couldn't find much about this, but I decided to get it because they were metallic and they were just very unique and interesting. And so whenever I see Stuart Weitzman that are like this, I'm definitely picking them up. You can see we noted a couple marks on it. You can see one here and then noted in the condition. These actually sold within a few months of listing. I paid $4.99 for them. They sold for my full asking price of $34.95. If you guys come across Stuart Weitzman, I think it's definitely at least worth looking up these styles. Some of them do pretty good. Next up is an interesting pair of jeans that I just recently learned about the brand. It is Mugsy. Mugsy jeans in the men's department seem to have a pretty good following. These are called the Kinsey's jeans. And I picked these up. I actually paid up for them because they had a good sell-through rate. I paid $8.99. They ended up selling on an offer for $34, and they took about a month and a half to sell. Next up is one of my favorite brands to sell, and almost every time I find this brand, it's in a men's polo. It is Burberry. This one's Burberry London, and that does make a difference. If you see Burberry Brit or Burberry London, make sure to put the correct line into your title because it can make a difference. This one was a size extra large polo. You can see that it did have quite a bit of fading throughout, which we did notate in the condition. I picked this one up for $2.99. Surprisingly, we listed for $39.98. It sold on offer to watcher for $35.98, and it took a couple weeks to sell. This is another belt that I picked up at the bins. We also just listed this, and it sold within a couple of weeks. This one was super lightweight too because it was a fabric belt by Polo Ralph Lauren, and it's a vintage D-ring belt, and that's something I just recently learned is if it has this closure that is called a D-ring, and you'll definitely want to put that into your title. I also use the word nautical in this because of the blue and red striping, and I think that made a big difference in how quickly it sold. I listed this one high. I listed it for $39.98, and guys, this is just a fabric belt. I found it at the bins. Belts are awesome. Keep your eye out for them, especially in the brands that you already pick up. Anyways, I listed this for $39.98. It sold within a couple of weeks for an offer to watcher of $35.98. This is a really high sell-through rate brand. This is the brand Gromici. You guys might have heard me talk about this before. Definitely want to commit this tag to memory. They tend to have like really washed out stuff. People really keep these items. But as you can see, even with all of that wear, they still sold, and they sold very quickly. You can see we noted that stuff here. Decided to get it again, even with the flaws, just because it does have an outstanding sell-through rate. I've sold shorts. I've sold quite a few pants. They all do good. So anything you find in this brand, I would definitely pick up. I paid only $4.89 for these pants. We listed for $34.98. Had they been in better condition, definitely would have been closer to $50 to $60, but because they were in poor condition, that's why they got listed for about $35. They ended up selling within a couple of weeks on an offer to watcher for $31.48. This is another extremely high sell-through rate brand. I almost never come across this brand, but when I do, it's always because someone donated their like entire wardrobe and they left like multiple pieces of this brand at the thrift store. So always happy when I do find it and always look beside of it to make sure there isn't more. The brand is Relwen, Relwen, for anybody that's just like listening to this in the background. Outstanding men's brand. They make athletic wear, and I guess they also make t-shirts. This one was kind of cool. It is, it looks like a Team Bird, just crew neck t-shirt, But anyways, anything in this brand does really well, even just their t-shirts. We paid only $2.99 for this. We listed for $34.98. It sold within a couple of weeks for our full asking price. This next one is a jean brand that I've been having some really good luck with lately. Highly recommend picking you up. It has a following. It is Judy Blue. Now you definitely want to look up the style and probably the size with it, but I would say in general this brand performs really well for me. Nothing like crazy outstanding, but definitely a solid following. I paid $4.75 for these jeans and they sold on an offer to watcher for $26.98, and it took a couple of weeks to sell. This next piece took about a month and a half to sell. It is a Talbot's dress. We've also been having some really good luck with Talbot's pieces when they are in larger sizes and more substantial pieces like a dress. So this is a large petite multicolor floral shift dress or sheath dress, sorry. I paid $3.99 for it. It sold for our asking price of $29.97. Next up is a men's vintage shirt. This is by the brand Surprise. And I think when I actually looked up this brand, this particular brand had a good following. And I looked at it because it was just silk and interesting multicolor, like abstract looking. Anything like this I always do a comp on, especially if it's silk. This surprisingly sold pretty quickly. It took about a month and a half to sell. I paid $4.89 for this one, and it sold for our full asking price of $29.97. Now we are going to jump on over to Poshmark for some of the Poshmark sales. This was a bins pickup. We picked this up strictly off of style. The brand is Streets Ahead. I wouldn't commit that to memory. They mass market a lot of stuff, but I hadn't seen a piece like this before. This was a really interesting like waist belt with a bunch of like statement chains and medallions. So we got it at the bins. It sold for $25. You can't beat that on belts. I'm telling you guys, belts, belts, belts. They're awesome. Next up is something I paid up for. I paid $9.99 for these pants. They only sold for $35, but I paid somewhere between $4 to $10 for like a big lot of Prana pants. Over the span of a couple weeks, I kept finding them at almost all my thrift stores. They just like, I don't know if a store got rid of them or what, but I picked them like all up over a span of 2 weeks. I got mine listed very quickly. They've all been selling for about $35 to $50, depending on if they're men's or women's and what the style is. These ones are called the Zion Chino pants. You probably heard me mention them before, but these ones sold for $35. And the reason I was willing to pay up for them is because they have such a high sell-through rate and we were doing really good with them. So definitely keep your eye out for men's Prana hiking pants. This is the brand label. Especially the men's. The women's you really want to be picky with, but the men's pieces in the hiking pants, almost all of them are good. Next up is a top that absolutely love finding. It is plus size Lucky brand. Talk about this brand a lot. You can come across it pretty often, at least in my area, but the only ones that sell very well for me and that have a following are the larger sizes. So I usually try to stick to like large, extra large, and plus sizes. Anything below that, it's like hardly ever am I going to pick that up unless it's really special. We paid $4.19 for this. It sold on an offer for $27, and it's just a plus size 2X t-shirt. Almost $30 for that. Can't beat that. Here's another pair of Spanx that sold. We paid $2.50 for these. These are definitely the higher end ones that you want to look for, the faux leather looking ones, anything with a wet or metallic look, especially if they have moto designs. These ones do not, but they still sold for $52. So again, keep your eye out for Spanx. These ones were also a size extra large, which I think helped to up the value. And next up is something I've been experimenting with. It is ModCloth plus size dresses. They have been performing really well for me. Now this one was new with tags. I got it. I thought it was a really like dainty, cute design. I paid $6.50 for this. It ended up selling for $30 on Poshmark. Since then, I have been picking up quite a bit of ModCloth plus size dresses, and they've been doing really well. This is an absolute bolo. You definitely want to keep your eye out for. It's called G4. They make golf wear. and all of their stuff resells really well and for really good money. I paid only $4.89 for these pair of G4 golf shorts, and they sold for $50 on Poshmark. Here's another pair of shorts, but these ones are women's athletic shorts. These are a pair of biker shorts, which are really trendy right now, by the brand Girlfriend Collective. I really love selling this brand. These smaller sizes tend to sit longer for me, but they still sell. These ones sold for $27. Again, size small, yellow bike shorts, $27. Can't beat that. If you get the larger sizes in Girlfriend Collective, they definitely perform better and can yield more money. These are a pair of boots that I actually got for myself, but they ended up not fitting me correctly, so I decided to sell them anyways. I paid $5.99 for these. These were called the Laguna Leather Chelsea ankle boots. Really wish these would have fit me, but still happy. We got them listed. They sold almost immediately for $70. And Sam Edelman is definitely not a brand that I would typically pick up. I come across a lot of Sam Edelman and leave almost all of it behind. However, these Chelsea style like pull on boots where they've got the elastic panel are definitely worth looking into. You can use words like moto, Chelsea, pull on, chunky heel, something like that, platform boots, but this style is really in regardless of brand. If you come across them, I definitely give them a comp along with the brand. Next up is one of my favorite brands to find. It is Smartwool, and I pick up almost anything in this brand. I just make sure that there are no holes, and that's a frequent thing with this brand, is because it's wool, there's typically holes. So this is a merino wool short sleeve t-shirt, and they're basically used to layer up and keep yourself warm. I paid $4.89 for this. This brand has an extreme sell-through rate for both men's and women, so again, just get it. And this one sold for $36 for a short sleeve t-shirt. That's really good. If you guys watch my thrift haul where I found all of that Lilly Pulitzer, some of them has started to sell. I paid $5.99 for this dress. I did look up all the style names because that did make a difference in price. This one was called the Terran Pineapple Dress. Here's a Lilly Pulitzer tag if you're not familiar with it. Even though they were smaller sizes, I still got them because this brand has a really good following. I don't remember what we originally listed it for. I want to say like $95 on Poshmark. It sold on an offer for $80. Really great pricing on Lilly Pulitzer dresses. This is Billy Reed. This is a men's brand that retails for quite a bit, but does not always have the best resale value or the best sell-through rates, but I decided to get this because it was an extra large and it was like an ombre sweatshirt, so substantial piece, interesting design, high retailing brand, larger size, like all of those factors stacked up to what I thought to be a good item. I paid $4.69 for this. It sold on an offer for $39. Next up is a bundle that sold. I paid about $12 for all three of these pieces, and it sold on an offer of a bundle for $130. This was probably the highest priced item in that bundle. It is a vintage Hotel California Eagles vintage like band tee. I've been sitting on this for a while, holding out for a good price. I think I had a price close to like $100. I also had this Madewell sweater. This had an exact style name, but I can't remember what it was. I picked it up because of the cable knit detail. And then a pair of women's Lucky Brand jeans that were new with tags. So all three of those sold, like I said, on a bundle for $130. I only paid about $12 for all of those pieces, and you can't beat that. Next up is another plus size piece. I've talked about Catherine's before. This is a size 2X, and one thing I've learned about Catherine's is you want to stick to the like multicolor stuff, anything with interesting detail. This one definitely has a lot going on. It was a size 2X, multicolor, rhinestone, even kind of like zebra or animal print there. I paid $4.29 for it. It sold for $29. This is a brand I don't pick up very often. Again, a high retailer, but does not always have the best resale value. It is Cobby. It was a size extra large. I thought it was a very unique piece, very nautical and preppy looking. I was able to do a comp. I don't remember what I searched. I feel like it was like striped oversized sweater or something like that, or nautical sweater by Cobby. I found this exact sweater in the comps and saw that this exact one had a good sell-through rate. I figured, hey, I've got a size extra large in good condition, so I can probably ask a little bit more for it. I think I originally priced this at about $40, and it sold on an offer for $34, which is good for a Cobby piece. Here's a pair of Madewell pants. I have really slowed down on Madewell, but I have noticed that their trousers tend to perform really good. I picked up a handful of these that were donated obviously by the same person. They were all a size 00, that were all like plaid wool trouser pants, and they've all done really well. So I guess if you're being picky on this brand, maybe take a look at the trousers. This one was called just plaid trouser pants. They were very like fall inspired, as you can see from the colors. I was scared that a 00 was going to sit, but surprisingly sold very quickly, all of those pieces. I paid $4.89. They sold on an offer for $40. Next up is another plus size Lucky Brand top. This one was also a size 2X, about that same price range, about $30. I sold this one for $30 exactly, and I paid $4.69. This is another bins pickup. I don't know what to tell you, but anything cats for me sells really well. We usually put Crazy Cat Lady, as you can see here, in like our keywords or in the title, and they perform really well for us. So anything like really loud in your face cats, I'm picking up. This is just the brand Christopher and Banks, but it was a size extra large and it had some interesting details. Picking this up at the bins, I probably paid a few bucks for it just because it was kind of heavy, but it sold for $36 within a couple of weeks. This one took about, I would say, a month and a half for me to sell. This is a Free People dress. I picked this up at a Salvation Army. I paid up for it too. I paid $12.99, which was a little risky because even though it had the OB number on the tag, I could not find what the style name was called. As you can see, it's an older label, so it was kind of hard to find. Even a Google Lens did not show me what the exact style name was, so we just listed what we thought, were good keywords. It was also a size 0. All those things made me nervous, but I was like, wow, this is a really unique, gorgeous Free People dress. To my surprise, it sold relatively quickly. We priced it very high and just accepted offers because I wasn't sure where we should price this at. It ended up selling on an offer for $135. I was really happy with that. And anything Free People maxi length is going to perform really good. So again, $12.99 into $135. That was a great sale. This is another high dollar item. I paid, I think, $4.99 for this. It is a John Barbados, which is a good brand, in my opinion, to pick up in the men's department. Size extra large men's brown corduroy jackets. John Barbados and just the t-shirts, most things perform well for me, but this is my first substantial piece by John Barbados, so I priced really high and just accepted offers, not knowing where it was going to land. I think, to be honest with you, I've been sitting on this for probably coming on a year now. I think I got it towards the end of winter last year, or I guess at the beginning of this year, but it's been a while. I'll just say that. I think I originally priced it closer to $200. I've since come down on price just because it's been sitting, but it ended up selling for $100. Great return on investment. I can't say enough about that. Like, just take your offers if they're coming in, if the market's deciding that it's not worth that much. Here's another pair of mother jeans that sold. These we paid $6.99 for. They were the Weekender Frey Flare jeans. Now, I think this particular style actually did have a good sell-through rate, but I probably would have picked it up regardless because, again, they're just performing well for me. I listed these, I think, for $125. They sold on an offer for $99, so $7 into $99. I don't like picking up a lot of women's jeans, but this is a brand I would keep your eye out for. Next is a good bread and butter brand for us. It is Fresh Produce. This brand has been on the decline for me lately. I think it really depends on the piece, but these asymmetric tops, if they're bright and multicolored and kind of pretty, I think do really well. We paid $4.25 for this. It sold for $31. This was a style-based pickup. I almost pick up nothing in this brand. It's Tahari, but it was a size extra large. It kind of had that login look style, and it was a linen cotton jacket. So for all of those reasons, I paid $4.89 at a thrift store, which is full price at my thrift store, and it sold for $36. And to be honest with you, I think it only took a month to sell. And so for a style-based pickup, I thought that was pretty good. And lastly is one of my favorite bread and butter brands to pick up. It is Standard James Purse. This stuff does not sell for a ton. It's usually like a $25 to $30 item. However, the sell-through rate is really good. Men's, women's, both do well for me. This is a men's Henley shirt. It was only a size small, but it sold relatively quickly for $24, and I paid $4.89. Alright guys, so that's it for what's sold. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up on your way out if you enjoyed this kind of content. Doing that lets YouTube know that I'm doing a good job, and so I really appreciate it. If you're not already and you would like to be, don't forget to subscribe down below and hit the notification bell. That way you'll get notified every time I post these videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.